Hey, First Church. Happy New Year to everyone. This is Britt, and I just wanted to welcome everybody back to Sunday evening Bible study. I know it's been a while since we've done this, but we are going to jump right back into the swing of things here. In 2021, we're going to start with a study on disciples and discipleship. And this study just comes from sort of the role that I've acquired here at First Church, and it really got me to thinking about what being a disciple is, and it's something that we hear the word disciple, and we think of the disciples that followed Christ, and that's where my mind at least jumped to when I thought of that. But if you are a follower of Jesus Christ, if you are a son or daughter, then you are a disciple of Jesus Christ. And there are things that Jesus talks about in the New Testament that identify you as being a disciple. And before we get into, we're going to spend some time in a few weeks about the disciples themselves. Who were they? Some things that they did or did not do. But we're going to spend a couple of weeks talking about just what is discipleship. So, there's definitions and there's things that we can look to. You can Google it. What's discipleship? You can look it up in the Bible. But what I came up with, I didn't come up with it, but just common sense kind of put it together. Discipleship is following Jesus regardless of the cost. Period. It's following Christ, being a Christ follower. So this next couple of weeks, today we're going to start looking at what that means. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to look at some specific instances where Christ tells us, if you are my disciple, this is what it looks like. And, we think of discipleship and we think of being a follower of Christ, and it is rewarding. It is greatly rewarding. It is humbling, but it's not all rainbows and sunshine as people would sometimes portray it to be. We're looking forward to going home. We're looking to the end result, to get to heaven, to be with Christ. That is the ultimate end to our life here on earth. When this body quits, I'm going home. I've got a mansion, and I'm going to be able to spend time in heaven with Christ and those that have gone on before me. But being a Christian, being a disciple here on earth can sometimes be challenging. And we're going to look at that. Jesus in Matthew chapter 8, we're going to take a look at what he says here in just a second. But Matthew, if you're not familiar with the book of Matthew, you haven't gotten into it in a while, from chapters 5 up to 8, it's the Sermon on the Mount. And there's some pretty in-depth things in there you might want to take a look at if you haven't in a while. The Sermon on the Mount, it's big stuff, as we like to say in my house, big stuff. So just a few things that he talks about. The Beatitudes, being salt and light, fulfilling the law, anger, lust, divorce, oaths, retaliation, loving your enemies, giving to the needy, the Lord's Prayer, fasting, treasures, anxiousness, judgment, the golden rule, false prophets, denial, building your house on the rock, and his authority. Just from 5 to 8. And if you haven't read that in a while, I encourage you to go back and take some time to do that. We'll be getting back into that in the coming weeks also, some of that. But we pick up here in Matthew chapter 8. And I want to start in verse 18. It's 7. Here we go. It says, when Jesus saw great multitudes about him, he gave a command to depart to the other side. Then a certain scribe came and said to him, Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go. And Jesus said to him, Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Then another of his disciples said to him, Lord, let me first go and bury my father. But Jesus said unto him, Follow me, and let the dead bury their own dead. Those are just a couple of the statements that Jesus makes about to people who profess to want to follow him. Now, Jesus knows our hearts. Jesus knows where we're at. Jesus knows us inside and out. God knows everything about us. And you might think, well, Jesus was being a little harsh there. No, he was being real. He was being real with these people and telling them, foxes have holes and birds there have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. It's weary sometimes, is basically what he was saying there in my mind. That's what he's telling this person that professed to want to follow him. It can be weary at times, and I think Jesus saw something in him that led him to tell this guy, you know what, you might not be ready for that. There's the reality of it. And and you think, man, it gets even worse. It gets even, it gets more harsher. In verse 22, it says, but Jesus said to him, follow me and let the dead bury their own dead. This guy wanted, first, let me go and bury my father. There's some deeper meanings here, but at face value, we look at this, and basically what Jesus is saying is, it's tough. Being my disciple is tough. But the reward, guys, the reward is worth it. The reward and what we carry daily with us is worth it. What do we carry daily with us? The Holy Spirit. Christ dwells inside of me. And you know what? No matter what this world throws at us, if I've got Christ, then that's all that matters. Jesus told us in this world we're going to have trouble, but fear not, for I've overcome the world. So in the next couple of weeks, in the coming weeks, we're going to take a look at what it means to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. We're going to take a look at some of the things that Christ himself tells us. Hey, this is what you can expect, and this is what I expect of you. And then we're going to look at those that Christ himself called, maybe some parallels between them and maybe some of our personalities and some of our lives. And then we're going to take a look at the outcome. Enter in, you good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. I'll make you ruler over many. So we'll get to that eventually. But anyhow, welcome back. I'm excited to get Bible study going again, even in this online capacity. I miss everybody. I miss being able to interact. And when Ben did it there and I filled in a couple of times, I missed that, to be able to have those questions and to be able to talk. So as always, if you've got questions, if you've got thoughts, don't be afraid to reach out to me on social media. I'm on Facebook, or they've got my number here at the church. You can always get in contact with me. But good to see everyone, and thank you all for tuning in. And I'm ready to get started. So thanks.